The fire that started it, all the chamber of the Galactic Council, was larger than any stadium on Earth. High pillars of crystal rose into the darkness above, glowing faintly with alien symbols. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in curved rows there, eyes fixed on the center of the room. The air was tense, heavy, almost unbreathable. In the middle stood Ambassador Jonathan Kane, Earth's representative, wearing the plain dark uniform of the United Nations Diplomatic Corps. His hands were bound in silver cuffs that hummed with a low, dangerous vibration. The cuffs were alien tech, designed to keep even the strongest species from resisting. Kane's face was calm, but his eyes scanned the crowd like a soldier on a battlefield. He knew he was not here for a fair trial. The council's speaker, a tall insectoid creature with glassy black eyes, raised its claw. "Jonathan Kane of Earth," it said, its voice echoing in every corner of the hall. "You stand accused of violating council law, of interfering in sovereign matters, and of spreading human influence where it is forbidden." Kane's voice was steady. "I stand accused of telling the truth, and you know it." A ripple of noise spread through the alien rows. Some muttered in agreement, others in disgust. Kane's message was dangerous to them. He had been warning the galaxy for months about corruption inside the council. He had named names. He had provided evidence, and now he was paying for it. The speaker's eyes glinted. "You have one final chance to retract your words and beg for mercy." Kane smiled faintly, a tired smile, the kind that belongs to someone who has already accepted his fate. "The truth doesn't need mercy." There was silence. And then the sentence. The speaker's claw came down. "Execution by fire." The chamber erupted. Some aliens cheered. Others gasped in shock. Fire was an ancient punishment, rarely used, seen by most as barbaric. But for the Council, it was the ultimate show of power. To burn a diplomat alive in front of billions of viewers across the galaxy was to send one clear message: defy us, and you will burn. The guards dragged Kane toward a raised platform at the center of the hall. Above it, a circular device began to glow, projecting a ring of orange flames. The heat rolled across the room, prickling skin and scales alike. Kane's boots scraped against the floor. He did not struggle. His gaze swept across the crowd, as if searching for something or someone. The broadcast drones hovered closer, their lenses reflecting the flames. Billions of beings on thousands of worlds were watching this moment. Some leaned closer to their screens, horrified. Others turned away, unable to watch. A voice crackled in Kane's earpiece. It was faint, almost hidden under the hum of the fire. "Jonathan, this is command. Say the words." Kane did not move his lips. He only whispered, barely audible, "Not yet." The guards shoved him into the center of the platform. The fire flared brighter. The heat was intense now, waves of burning air pressing against him. The speaker raised its claw again. "Let all who watch remember this day. Humanity's voice is silenced." The flames roared. Kane closed his eyes. His mind flashed through images: the streets of New York, the green hills of his childhood home, the laughter of his daughter before he left Earth. He had made his choice long ago. When the heat touched his skin, he opened his eyes again and looked straight into the nearest broadcast drone. "Tell them," he said clearly, his voice echoing in the hall. "We warned you." The fire swallowed him. The crowd's noise vanished, replaced by the roar of flames. The broadcast feed burned the image into history, a human, standing tall even as fire consumed him. his last words ringing across the stars. When the flames finally died, nothing remained but scorched metal and the silver cuffs, blackened and twisted. The guards removed them without a word. The speaker turned to the council. It is done. But across the galaxy, it was not done. On Earth, in a sealed underground chamber beneath Geneva, a row of military officers watched the execution in silence. Their faces were pale, their jaws tight. No one spoke for a long time. Then the president's voice broke the silence. Calm, cold, and final. Activate Code Black. Every officer in the room stiffened. Code Black was not a military exercise. It was not even officially acknowledged to exist. It was Earth's most guarded secret, a contingency, so dangerous it had been locked away for decades. In a hidden hangar beneath the oceans, massive shadows stirred. Shapes longer than city blocks, blacker than the void between stars. Engines, older than the council itself, began to hum. The Titan fleet was waking back in the council chamber. The speaker ended the session. Delegates filed out, murmuring. None noticed that one of the council's own guards slipped away into the shadows, activating a hidden communicator. "They've done it," the guard whispered. "They burned the human alive." On the other end, a deep voice responded, "Good. Then they'll come for us." Exactly as planned. Far away, in the cold depths of space, the Titans prepared to leave their cradles. Their black holes absorbed all light. Their weapons were silent, but ready. Humanity had been struck. Now it would strike back, and this time there would be no mercy. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, in a fortress carved into the bedrock, the air felt heavy. No windows, no sound from the outside world. Only the steady hum of machinery and the low voices of people who knew the weight of what was coming. The UN War Command had gathered in the Chamber of Silence, a room shielded from every known form of surveillance, alien or human. Around the massive oval table sat generals, admirals, intelligence chiefs, and the president herself. In front of them, on the wall-size screen, froze the last image of Ambassador Kane, standing in fire, staring into the camera with eyes that did not break. No one spoke for several minutes. They all knew the cost of what they were about to do. The president broke the silence. Her voice was calm, but steel lay underneath. "You all know why we are here. They burned our diplomat alive. They broadcasted it to the galaxy as if it were a warning. We will answer, and our answer will be final." A deep voice spoke from the far end of the table. Admiral Rourke, commander of the Titan fleet. His uniform was plain, without medals, but everyone in the room knew his reputation. The man who had once turned the tide of a war with only 3 ships. "Madam President," Rourke said, "Code Black is already in motion. Titans are awakening." Across the table, General Hayes frowned. "The Council will expect retaliation. They'll be ready." Rourke's eyes narrowed. "They've never been ready for us." The President nodded. "The Titans are not for deterrence. They are for endings." She looked at the intelligence director. "Do we have confirmation on who ordered the execution?" The director shook his head. "No, the council claims it was a majority vote. Our agents say otherwise. A smaller faction pushed for it, but they've covered their tracks well. We don't have names yet." The president's fingers tapped the table slowly. "Find them, but until then, the Council will learn that humanity's patience has limits." Far away, under the crushing weight of Earth's oceans, the Titan hangars glowed with pale blue light. Inside, colossal warships rested in cradles of steel. Each one was a dark leviathan, hundreds of meters long, with hulls made of adaptive armor that could change color, absorb light, and vanish into the black of space. Engines that hadn't been powered in decades roared to life. The sound was deep, almost alive, like the heartbeat of a giant. Technicians moved along the platforms, dwarfed by the size of the ships they were waking. Weapons systems hummed online, rail cannons that could pierce a moon, plasma lances capable of melting through, entire fleets, and silent drones designed to kill without ever being seen. The Titans had no names painted on their hulls. They were known only by code names in classified files: Oblivion, Nemesis, Black Sun, Leviathan, Widowmaker. Ships born for one purpose: total war. In Earth's colonies, quiet preparations began. On Mars, factories switched to maximum production, fabricating ammunition and stealth armor. On Europa, hidden military satellites activated, their sensors scanning every jump point. On Luna, the defense grid went dark, not as a sign of weakness, but because its power was being diverted to something far more dangerous. Across human space, families mourned Ambassador Kane, but in the same breath, they whispered a truth every human knew deep down: we do not start wars, but we finish them. Soldiers packed their gear in silence. Some prayed. Others wrote messages to families they might never see again. And still, the galaxy believed humanity would answer with nothing more than a token fleet. A few angry speeches, maybe a trade embargo. They did not understand the truth. Humanity had been preparing for this for over a century. In the Council's capital city, alien leaders argued among themselves. Some believed the execution had gone too far. Others thought it was a necessary warning. But none of them truly feared Earth. Not yet. They remembered humans as the newcomers to the stars. Clever, stubborn, quick to adapt, yes, but still outnumbered, still surrounded by species with centuries of spacefaring history. What they forgot was that humans had learned every one of those centuries worth of war in only a few decades, and improved on it. Back on Earth, Admiral Rourke walked through the control deck of Oblivion, the lead Titan. He ran his hand along the cold, black metal of the walls. These ships were never meant to be seen. He said to his second-in-command, they were meant to end the fight before it began. But now we'll show them. The officer hesitated. Sir, do you think the Council knows what's coming? Rourke almost smiled. If they did, they'd already be running. The first Titan rose from the ocean like a monster from an old Earth legend. Water cascaded from its armored flanks, steam rising from the heat of its awakening engines. The sound was low and deep, like thunder rolling from the depths of the world. Above, the clouds began to swirl, pulled by the ship's gravitational field. Birds scattered in panic. Waves crashed against the hangar walls as more Titans followed, breaking the surface one by one. From space, the sight was impossible to miss. Massive black silhouettes climbing into the sky, their hulls swallowing the light. Within hours, they would vanish from all sensors, invisible to every known detection system. And when they reappeared, it would be too late for whoever they had come for. In the Chamber of Silence, the President stood before the war. Table one last time before departure orders were signed. Remember this, she said, her eyes scanning every officer in the room. They wanted a warning. We will give them one. They will never forget. The orders were signed. Engines flared, and somewhere in the darkness between stars, the first targets were already marked. The Council had lit the fire. Now, humanity. would teach them what burned hotter than flame. The galaxy's star maps were vast. But that night, something vanished from them. Not a planet, not a moon, a fleet. It began quietly, without alarms. In the sector charts of the Council Defense Network, a small cluster of icons representing Outpost Delta 47 simply disappeared. No explosion detected, no distress calls. One moment, the outpost was there. The next, it was gone. On the capital world of the Council, the high-security operations room filled with static as communications officers scrambled to reconnect the feed. "Must be a sensor fault," one technician muttered, recalibrating systems. But recalibration returned only a black void. Then came the first whisper. "Sir, the entire garrison is off the grid." The commander in charge frowned. "Off the grid? How? Are they jammed?" "No, sir, there's nothing to jam." The feed returned for just 1 second. The image showed the station's main corridor. Lights flickered, a thin mist curled through the air. A shadow, impossibly tall, too sharp-edged to be organic, moved past the camera. The lens distorted, like it couldn't process the shape. And then the signal died for good. 3 jumps away, hidden in the folds of space, the Titan fleet drifted in perfect silence. No running lights, no transmissions. Their hulls shifted in color until they were invisible against the cosmic background. Inside the lead ship, Oblivion, Admiral Rourke studied a holographic projection of the destroyed Outpost. 43 seconds, reported the operations officer. From first contact to complete neutralization. Rourke's eyes narrowed. "Too slow. I want it under 30. "Yes, sir." The crew didn't cheer. They didn't speak much at all. The Titans were not ordinary warships, and their crews were not ordinary soldiers. Every person on board had been selected for this mission years ago, trained in silence, in secrecy, to fight wars that never officially happened. Across the galaxy, panic began to spread. The Council had faced rebellions before, even pirate kings with stolen fleets, but this was different. This enemy left no wreckage, no trace. They did not send demands or threats. The only message came 12 hours later, broadcast on every Council military frequency. It was a single sentence in the human language, delivered in a voice that was calm and cold. "This is only the beginning." On the Council floor, alien leaders erupted into shouting. Some called for immediate negotiations with Earth. Others demanded a full-scale, retaliatory strike before humans could hit again, but hitting back at what no one knew where the Titans were. The Council's intelligence agencies deployed every spy. They had to locate them. Most never returned. Those who did came back, different. One insectoid operative was found drifting in his escape pod near the edge of Council space. His claws trembled, his mandibles clicked in a stutter. "They move without light," he whispered to his interrogators. "Their ships are shadows. I saw one open its mouth. The light died inside it, and then he couldn't finish. He simply curled into himself, shivering." Meanwhile, Earth's War Command marked the next target. It wasn't a military base. It wasn't even a weapons depot. It was a Council resource hub, the heart of the supply chain feeding their fleets. Taking it out would not just cripple their military strength. It would send a very clear message to the galaxy. The Council could not protect its own heart. Rourke gave the order. The Titans moved. No thrusters fired. No engines burned. They slipped through space the way a knife slides through flesh. Their stealth drives bent light and sound around them. Even gravity seemed to ignore them until it was too late. The resource hub was a massive ring station orbiting a gas giant, its surface glittering with lights. Thousands of ships docked there every day, trading fuel, food, and parts. The first hint of danger came when the stars themselves began to disappear. At first, the dockworkers thought it was a storm in the planet's upper atmosphere. Then the darkness moved. Something vast blotted out the viewports, so large that the brains struggled to process it as a single object. Then another shadow followed, and another. The alarms began to wail, but by then the Titans were already inside the station's perimeter, inside Oblivion's command deck. Rourke's voice was quiet, but absolute. Fire. The rail cannons did not sound like guns. They sounded like the universe itself tearing. Projectiles the size of trucks moved at a fraction below light speed, hitting with enough force to crack the station's spine. The first shot cut through the ring's central hub. The second silenced its comrades. Boarding drones swarmed into the docking bays, moving with insect precision. They carried no banners, no insignia, only black metal and red targeting optics. In 7 minutes, the hub was a silent, burning skeleton. The news spread like wildfire. The Council called the attacks cowardly. The galaxy's neutral factions called them unstoppable. And somewhere deep in Council space, in a room with no windows, a group of alien figures watched the footage in silence. One of them, a tall, robed being with pale eyes, finally spoke. "They've taken the bait," it said. Another leaned forward, "And when they reach for us, we'll finish what we started." On Earth, the President addressed the War Command via secure link to strikes, no losses, she said. Our enemies still believe this is about revenge. They don't yet understand it's about control. We will decide when this war ends. Admiral Rourke didn't answer. His gaze was fixed on the next set of coordinates appearing on the holographic display. The war had just begun, and the galaxy had no idea what humanity was truly capable of. The galaxy's great powers had always seemed untouchable. Their fleets could blot out the stars. Their armies could occupy worlds for centuries. But now they were bleeding, and the wounds were deep. The Titans moved like ghosts through the dark. No fleet could track them. No defense grid could lock on before it was too late. Outposts went dark without a single distress signal. Supply convoys vanished between jump points. Council command stations received last-second blurts of static and then silence forever. Across alien news networks, shaky footage from civilians began to spread. Grainy images of black silhouettes hanging over cities. A single red targeting light sweeping across the clouds. The sound of something vast shifting above the atmosphere. And then nothing but darkness. Panic began to bloom in the heart of the Council's core worlds. Inside the Council war chamber, the surviving commanders gathered around a massive holographic table. Each looked more desperate than the last. "This is not a war," hissed one reptilian general, his scaled hands trembling. "This is slaughter. We are prey to an apex predator." An avian admiral slammed his talons on the table. "We must launch a unified strike. Every fleet we have. And where will you send them?" Another voice asked bitterly. "You can't strike at shadows." The room fell silent. Far from the Council's capital, deep in neutral space, a human intelligence cell intercepted a transmission. It wasn't Council military chatter. It was encrypted in an old code, one used by a faction within the Council. The message was short. "Initiative proceeding as planned. Earth is reacting exactly as expected. Target Omega will be in position within 2 cycles. When the intel reached Earth's War Command, the President frowned. So there it is, she said quietly. Kane's execution wasn't about punishing us. It was bait. Bait for what? Admiral Rourke asked. The intelligence director's face was pale. For us. They want the Titans moving. They want us here, now. But humanity didn't retreat. Instead, they changed the rules. The next target wasn't a military base or supply hub, it was the Vault, the Council's most secure data fortress, buried under layers of defense, drones, and planetary shields. Inside were records going back thousands of years, and the names of every Council faction leader. If humanity could get inside, they could prove who ordered Kane's death and expose them to the galaxy. The operation began under the cover of a meteor storm. As fire rained across the Vault's skies, Oblivion and Nemesis descended through the debris field, invisible to the Vault's scanners. Boarding drones landed silently on the surface, cutting their way through armored gates. Inside, alien guards fought in narrow corridors. But this was not a battle they could win. The Titan soldiers were ghosts in the dark, moving with surgical precision, disabling power grids, flooding hallways with smoke, cutting through blast doors as if they were paper. In the data chamber, a single human operative, Calcine Spectre, stood before the core terminal. The air around the machine shimmered with defensive energy. Spectre placed a small black device on the console. "Command, link is live," he whispered. The device pulsed once, then the chamber filled with light as the Titan's AI battle minds poured into the Vault's systems. Data poured out millions of files, encrypted names, secret orders, and then there it was, the execution order, signed not by the Council as a whole, but by the Veil Syndicate, a hidden faction made of the oldest, most powerful families in the galaxy. Their motive: to provoke a war that would leave both Earth and the Council weakened, paving the way for them to seize absolute control. The evidence was sent straight to the President. She read it in silence. Then she turned to Rourke. "Change of mission," she said. "We're not here to destroy the Council anymore. We're here to cut out the rot." Rourke's lips tightened. Then the Syndicate dies first. But the Syndicate already knew the Vault had been breached. On their hidden world, far from prying eyes, they prepared their own weapon. Not a fleet, not a planet killer. Something older, something alive. Its chains were already straining in. The days that followed, the Titans struck at Syndicate holdings with merciless precision. Banking worlds collapsed into economic ruin. Secret shipyards exploded in balls of fire. Syndicate leaders began to vanish, some killed, others simply gone. Their palaces empty, their guards dead without a sound. And then, in a move that shook the galaxy, Earth broadcast the execution footage again, this time alongside the Syndicate's signed order. Every world under Council control saw the truth. Protests erupted. Armies began refusing Syndicate commands. The Council itself fractured, but victory wasn't certain. Reports began trickling in from the frontier, entire human colonies going silent. Merchant convoys torn apart, not by Titans or known alien fleets, but by something else entirely. Survivors spoke of massive shadows with too many eyes, moving faster than physics allowed. In the War Command Chamber, the intelligence director whispered the words no one wanted to hear. "The Syndicate's weapon is awake." Rourke looked at the holomap, where the weapon sightings formed a slow, deliberate path, straight toward the Titans. He turned to the president. "Then we'll meet it head-on." Her reply was cold, final. "No, Admiral. We'll make it come to us." The trap was being set, but the galaxy, already burning, had no idea that the real war was only just beginning. Asterisk, the void between stars was silent. Too silent. The Titans drifted in formation, black silhouettes against the endless dark, waiting. Their weapons were live, their AI-battled minds humming in the background like a predator's breath. Every crew member stood at their post, tense, listening for the sound that would mean it had arrived. The Syndicate's living weapon. For days, it had been tearing through the galaxy, not in open battles, but in hunts. Entire fleets went missing without a distress call. Space stations vanished, their orbits left empty. The few survivors spoke of something that didn't belong in this universe, a shape too vast to see all at once, a presence that made the air feel heavy even through a vacuum suit, eyes like burning holes in reality. And now, Earth had given it a reason to come here. Inside Oblivion's command deck, Admiral Rourke stood in silence, staring at the empty starfield ahead. His second-in-command, Commander Ilara Voss, checked her sensors again and frowned. "Sir, there's nothing." "Good," Rourke replied. "That means it's close." She didn't ask how he knew. Everyone aboard had felt it, the subtle pressure, the sense that the dark was watching back. Then the stars began to go out, not in one place, but in dozens. Whole sections of space dimmed, as if someone had thrown a shadow across the galaxy, and then it moved. It emerged without sound. No flash of light, no engine trails, just a wall of blackness sliding forward until the Titans seemed like insects. In its path, its shape was wrong too many angles, then none at all. It was alive, but every instinct screamed that it should not be. The comms flickered, then died. The lights dimmed. Systems flickered as if the ship itself was afraid. The weapon's voice wasn't a sound. It was a pressure in the skull, words, forming without being spoken. "You are children playing at war." Rourke didn't flinch. Children grow up. The first volley came from Nemesis, its rail cannons tearing through the dark. The projectiles vanished into the creature's mass without a sound. Then the darkness rippled, and a spear of energy the size of a skyscraper slammed into Nemesis, tearing through its shields and punching a hole clean through its hull. Alarms screamed. The Titans scattered, their stealth drives flaring, darting through the dark like sharks around a leviathan. Plasma lances struck, burning through chunks of the creature's body, but the wounds closed in seconds. "This thing isn't just alive," Voss shouted. "It's adapting." In the War Command Chamber back on Earth, the President watched the battle unfold through Titan feed relays. Her voice was low but steady. "Deploy the Black Sun." In the depths of space, one Titan broke formation. Black Sun wasn't the largest, but it carried something no other ship did. The event core, a weapon that bent the edge of physics itself. It could collapse matter into nothing, erasing it entirely, but using it would destroy the ship. Black Sun's captain didn't hesitate. "For Kane," he whispered. The event core lit like a dying star, pulling in light and sound. Space itself seemed to scream. The beam cut through the creature's center, tearing a hole straight through its impossible body. For the first time, it recoiled, the dark peeling back, light flooding in where there had been none. Rourke seized the moment. All Titans full strike. Oblivion and Leviathan hammered the wound with plasma fire. Widowmaker unleashed drone swarms into the breach, detonating deep inside the weapon's core. The creature shuddered. The pressure in their minds faltered, but its voice came again. Weaker now, but filled with rage. You think this is over, and then silence. The creature's body collapsed inward, folding into nothing until the space it had occupied was just empty again. No wreckage, no remains. Only the black sun was gone, its sacrifice etched into every heart aboard the fleet. Hours later, the Titans descended into the skies above the Council's homeworld. Their black holes blotted out the sun. No Council fleet moved to stop them. Half were gone, the other half unwilling to fight. In the Grand Plaza, the surviving leaders knelt, not out of respect, out of fear. From the lead Titan, the President's voice rang out across every channel in the galaxy. You burned our Diplomat alive. You thought we would bow. Instead, you learned the cost of waking humanity's wrath. Her tone hardened. This war ends today. But remember, we are patient, we are watching, and we do not forgive twice. The Veil Syndicate's surviving leaders were dragged into the plaza in chains. The evidence of their crimes, Kane's execution order, the living weapons deployment, was broadcast to every world. Revolts erupted. Syndicate control crumbled overnight. By the week's end, the Council had no choice but to sign the Geneva Accords, giving Earth equal standing in galactic law, and guaranteeing that no human would ever again stand trial under alien authority in the quiet after the war. Rourke stood alone on Oblivion's observation deck, looking at the stars. They'll remember this day, Voss said behind him. Rourke nodded. Not for the war. For the moment they understood. Understood what? He turned, eyes hard. That Earth kneels to no one. And so the galaxy changed. The Council was broken. The Syndicate was ashes. And the memory of the Black Titans in the sky became a warning passed down on every world. If you ever see them, it's already too late.